the loudest voice of the week. Today, we're going to focus on one of the heroes of journalism we look up to on the show. His name is, you know him, you love him, Max Blumenthal of The Gray Zone. Does exceptional work over at The Gray Zone. Very consistent, very much on point when it comes to humanitarian issues, when it comes to anti-war, fighting the war machine, fighting the Israel-U.S. Western war machine, imperialist machine, propaganda machine, challenging the media narrative. Always so good at doing that. So make no mistake, if you wanted to look no further than Max Blumenthal in The Gray Zone for getting October 7th right, for getting the occupation, the apartheid, the ethno-state, and the genocide and the extermination of the Palestinian people, getting that right the whole time. He had it right. And they were shunned for it. They were belittled for it. They were punished for it. And now, slowly but surely, there are some coming around and saying, yeah, he was right, but they're not giving him necessarily the credit. They're trying to pretend that they're now having access to certain information that we just didn't know before. Oh, no, we knew it. We knew about the Hannibal Directive. We knew the orders of standing down. We knew that that festival on October 7th was intentionally placed right at the border. We knew the whole thing. We know now about the intentional technology that was in place to spy on Palestinians, to implement AI technology, to implement Palantir, way before Trump just took office in January. This has been being planned for years. We know about the Greater Israel Project. We know about all of it. And thanks to Max Blumenthal of The Gray Zone, he was recently at a protest outside of Capitol Hill, offices of Fox News and NBC. What? They have the same office? I thought Fox News and NBC hated each other, Matt. No, they don't hate each other. They're owned by the same people, and they're right in the same location. So don't for a second think that one's the good and one's the bad. We know they're both bad. So what better place to hold a protest right outside the offices in Capitol Hill, the offices of Fox and NBC, where Max Blumenthal tells us that the corporate media that he's standing right in front of are the enemies of the people. Take it away, Max Blumenthal, loudest voice of the week.
Speaking here on behalf of those of us in the West in independent media who are prematurely correct. We were wrongly correct. We were right before it was allowed. We were right that CNN was lying when they put up on a chyron that 40 babies had been beheaded by Hamas. We were right when right-wing Zionist journalists started claiming that Hamas had baked babies in ovens on October 7th, citing fraudulent rescue organizations like Zaka and United Hatzalah. We were right when we called out the New York Times for its phony front-page investigation claiming that Palestinian resistance groups on October 7th committed mass rape against Jewish women. And they never produced any survivors. They never produced any forensic evidence. They never produced any credible police investigations. They never produced anything to the point where they had to change the entire definition. And the New York Times never even corrected its piece when virtually all of its eyewitnesses were proven to be frauds. What they do correct, though, and issue a clarification on, is that an emaciated child, Mohammed Zakaria al-Mutawak, who is living in a tent with his mother, whose father was killed on the beach in Gaza City, who suffers from a muscular condition, who cannot get enough milk, which worsens his muscle condition. They issued a correction noting that that child had a pre-existing condition, caving to Zionists who accused the New York Times of an anti-Semitic blood libel for showing that child on the front page. Because what? What? We're supposed to accept the death of the Untermenschen? That's what they're claiming, and the New York Times caves to them, but made no correction on any of these phony investigations which we exposed. We also exposed Israel's killing of hundreds of its own citizens on October 7th through the Hannibal Directive. And for these exposés, for being prematurely correct, we at the Gray Zone were attacked not once, but twice in feature-length articles by the billionaire-owned Washington Post, which falsely accused us of being funded by Russia and Iran. The Washington Post is an enemy of the people, and we were attacked by Haaretz, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times, the supposed voice of the liberal, enlightened, peace-loving public of Israel, for being prematurely right. Then what did Haaretz do? They turn around and declare, oh, wait a minute, we have uncovered copious evidence that Israel fired on dozens and dozens of vehicles on October 7th containing Jewish Israeli citizens, and that it had free fire orders to open fire everywhere and actually enacted a mass Hannibal directive. But they never said the independent media was right. No. Why was this? How can we understand this dynamic? What was taking place in the days and the weeks and the months after October 7th was the media was fulfilling its traditional role, the corporate media, in manufacturing consent for genocide, in manufacturing consent for war. And once they had finally gotten the public to go along with it, or to shut down, or to be afraid of challenging their lies, and the Israeli genocide machine was cranked into full gear, destroying northern Gaza, pushing the population south, moving into Rafah for that destruction, and we were warning, this is a genocide, full Auschwitz is coming next. Then they could start admitting that some of the narratives that they had spun out were incorrect, because the damage had already been done. It is always that way with the corporate media and their retroactive morality, and that's why they and the members of the Democratic Party are now finally starting to acknowledge that Israel might be doing some Nazi-like things in Gaza, like deliberately starving people to death, but they're barely even acknowledging that.
They're barely even acknowledging that. So, look, Max isn't. He's not holding his breath. He's not going to get an apology. What he's doing right now, and what a great. The guy knows how to. He knows how to put. Let me hold on. Let me get the right thing. Okay. Max is saying all the right stuff, but he's, make no mistake, he's moving forward. This is how independent journalists have to be. You have to be tough-skinned. You got to keep moving. You have to say on record, we got that first, just so everybody knows. Gray Zone got it first. He's not going to get the apology. Everyone's going to be playing catch-up to the Gray Zone, and they're never going to get the acknowledgement. But he was right out in front of this, and we tried to be out in front of this, and we try to be out in front of everything, because there's going to be a time, and we're seeing this, guys. We're seeing this little by little, the time when the mainstream decided it's okay to say something. The mainstream says it's okay 2 weeks ago to say that kids are starving in Palestine. They're starving in Gaza. So there's a moment where it's okay. Sometimes it's not for 20 years, right? Sometimes when does the moment come when, oh yeah, maybe Iraq was an illegal war that we went into in bad faith on purpose? That's, you can say that now. You can actually say that. So there are they're going to tell us when it's okay to say something, but in the meantime, real journalists like Max Blumenthal are going to say what's right because it's right, not because it was okay to say it or not okay to say it before that. And so those are the news outlets we're going to aspire to continue to be, and those are the ones I recommend, like the Gray Zone, for you guys to continue to go after. And it's not to say that we can't, if we see information shared on other sites that are late to the game, we can say, okay, you were late to the game. Great. Good for you. I'll throw up one late to the game one. So he mentioned Haaretz. Haaretz did smear them. Don't forget that. They'll tell you Haaretz is the most, left-wing, anti-Netanyahu government, publication in Israel. They'll tell you that. But Haaretz also is on a timeline. And they absolutely smeared the Gray Zone, but now they're tweeting stuff out like this, just to give you guys an understanding of the way the timeline works. Now they can tell us what they already knew, what Netanyahu said in March of 2019. So we knew this already. Now it's okay for them to put in quotes, anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. That's what Netanyahu is telling his people in 2019. This is a part of our strategy. This is what we do. We elevate the thing that we want to then blame for, the thing that gives us the As RFK Jr. tells us, no red line policy, right on schedule, October 8th. October 8th, one day later, RFK Jr. tells us no red line policy for Netanyahu. It's exactly what he set up in advance. You create the no red line policy by elevating financially, however you have to do it, elevate the thing, create the thing, implement the Hannibal directive, fire on your own people, stand your people down, let that thing happen, and then blame it on we have to get the hostages back, and then squash every single ceasefire agreement deal possible that you can, because the plan was never to end the thing. The plan was to create the thing. And now you can go and do whatever the hell you want with what is remaining of Gaza, which is a freaking parking lot. That's the plan. That's the game. And the only people that can stand up to this are independent media. That's it. We have to support the gray zone. Max Blumenthal, excellent job with that, standing outside of the corrupt media. They're not media. They're propagandists. They defend power. They smear people who are challenging power. And that's a perfect place to stand out like Max Blumenthal did and tell us what really happened, the timeline. Let us know the timeline. Gray Zone was there first, not to get a thank you, not to get an apology, but just to get it on the record. This is what happened. So spread the word, keep it going, be loud, be confident, have courage, and keep doing the work, guys. We're going to keep doing the work too. Max Blumenthal, the Gray Zone, loudest voice of the week. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart will cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.